welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. Well, tariffs very much in the news these days. Good news, bad news, frightening news, recovery news, all those things going on with tariffs. Whoever thought they would be an issue, but boy, they're all over the news today. So it's time for us for the Joel Block Show with his special guest, me. Joel is a seasoned veteran capitalist. He's a financial strategist and advisor, conference speaker, just an all-around good guy. He does have a website, joelblock.com, and you can go there. He has a lot of resources for you, and you can download that material, supercharge your 2025 outlook, and get a lot of great advice from the man himself, joelblock.com. Joel, good to see you, buddy. How are you?
Harry, always good to see you. How are you?
All right. Happy Wednesday. Here we are. The market went down 3-4% on its way back up. I know that you have your likes and dislikes of tariffs. What's the Joel Block 30,000-foot view this morning?
Listen, Perry, I am very bullish on what's going on. I strongly believe that we are going to get this problem straightened out. The president, I'm very confident, knows what he's doing. You know, in my experience, listen, I'm a deal maker. I'm no Donald Trump, but I really get what he's doing. And he is negotiating the restructuring of a lot of the economic foundations of the way that our country works. It's not working anymore. We've been subsidizing countries around the world for decades, and it's resulted in a $36 trillion deficit. And it's really time to turn that around, and that's what he's busy doing. Okay,
is the market looked at? I'm trying to think of the right way to explain this. We panic when the market does what it does, and yet it's just one indicator. It's not the indicator. Why do we do that?
You know, it's not even the best indicator, because the truth is that. The majority of the money that's in the market is the 401k. It's the long-term money. If people didn't watch the news and they never saw what was going on, they wouldn't probably, be impacted by this at all, because this is long-term money. There are a few people who need the money in the short run, but for the most part, most of this money is long-term money. Most of the trading activity is happening among professional traders who are in the business of taking advantage of opportunities. And that's the people who are moving the market, is these short-term traders. And we can't take what they're doing and try to assume that it has anything to do with the long-term needs of the rest of the community. So really important to separate that there are professional people who are day trading and doing what they do professionally. And then there's the rest of us who have a whole different arrangement.
Okay, so there's something very interesting about all this. Here you are, you're a financial strategist, advisor, capitalist. You get it, because this is your world. You walk in these lanes every day. I think the president did something brilliant, and it proved itself with a 4-point jump in his approval rating in the midst of the market going down. And that's when he held the chart up, and people could see what the other countries were charging and where he was going to counter that, looking for some kind of a reciprocal agreement. The moment he used that chart, the stock market went down, but his ratings went up. People saw it for the first time. To me, there was a real lesson there.
I think that they've kind of done a poor job of explaining to the American people what's really going on and what's the story. We pay something like 7 times more tariffs than we collect. And people still don't fully understand that, but the chart started to help them to understand that there is tremendous imbalance. And what that chart didn't tell us is that, for example, Australia, who tariffs their imports, they don't allow us to sell into their marketplace. So we're just not allowed to sell beef products, for example, into their marketplace. Well, Americans never understood this before. Mm-hmm. And, we're supposed to have free trade. We're supposed to live in a world where there's no borders and things are moving around easily. But that's not at all true. And for the first time, Americans are starting to understand it. I think if the government communicators did a little better job, or maybe if the media did a little better job of explaining what's really going on, it would really help people. The hatred that exists in the media toward the politicians and the different parties is not helping to get the Americans on board to understand why the government is doing what it's doing. We have kicked the can down the road for a long time, and we just can't keep doing it anymore.
Do you think America may have a glimpse now how close to insolvency the country has become?
No, I don't. I don't think that people are seeing that quite yet. I think that the president has stepped in before we have become insolvent. And the biggest thing that happened over the last couple of years is the rise in interest rates has caused the cost of the debt to be insurmountable. And I think I said something like that to you a couple of years ago, that's going to be the big impact, is that on this much debt, increasing the interest rate even by a percentage point is billions and billions and billions of dollars. It's a massive amount of money. So the goal is to bring those rates down, refinance the debt, start paying the debt down, and that will make a brighter future for our children. And it's been said that this is not going to be easy. It's going to be a little painful, which it is, and we're experiencing a little of that right now. But I think this is a very short-term thing. I think the president said this. It was a fascinating little metaphor that he said. He said, when a patient goes in for surgery, they don't jump off the operating table and start dancing around the hospital. It takes a few weeks or a few months for that person to recover and get better, and then hopefully they're stronger than ever. And that's exactly where we are now, is that major surgery, major reorganization has been performed on this patient, and this patient needs to heal. It needs to settle down. Things need to be understood. The fact that the media is flashing these numbers on the screen all day long, every single day, and making people absolutely hysterically nervous is not the greatest thing in the world, but that's what they do. And people just have to learn to sit still and just have a little faith that this is going to work out, because this is a great country and we have great people. I want to say one other thing, Perry. These tariffs have done something spectacular, and they've brought enormous amounts of capital investment into the United States. I'm not sure if it's 3 trillion or 7 trillion. There's different numbers that get thrown around, and never know which one to believe. But it doesn't matter. 3 trillion, 4 billion, a trillion, 5, 6, 7, whatever the number is. Think about how many factories are going to be built. Think about how many high-level workers, architects, engineers, welders, tile layers, concrete people. Think about how many Caterpillar tractors are going to be required to be built. Think about all the things that are going to be necessary to employ all the people to deliver on trillions and trillions of dollars of investment in the United States. This is a boom for people who have high skills, and our middle class and our workers and the people who do things for this country are going to be benefited enormously for the next many, many years.
That's well said, Joel. Well said. Thank you. The other metaphor or analogy that was made, when a company gets into trouble, they basically have two options. They can be bought out by their competitor, or they start cutting expenses and bringing the balance sheet into alignment with what actually is income. In this case, they're not only cutting the fat and the fraud, but arbitrarily funding, and they're cutting the overhead. This is what you do with a company that's in trouble.
Yeah.
And so they're doing it. And most of the people that are screaming and hollering and have never made a payroll, they don't get it.
Yeah, well, a couple things. Number one, in my lifetime, I've never heard people stand up and say how much they love government workers until the last 2 months. Everybody loves government workers, and they don't want anybody to be let go. It is just commonplace that in corporate America, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people are reorganized every couple of years. It just happens. And by the way, when there's a turnaround situation, they don't delicately slash and burn. They ruthlessly slash and burn and then rebuild later. Mm-hmm. They know that they're going to cut a little bit too much meat off the bone, and then they'll just figure out how to fix that later on, because it's better to have less than more. And that's it. Yeah, with the government, people just expect certain kinds of services. But Perry, one of the things from my casual conversations with people is that most people really favor these reductions. But there's one or two programs. God, I sure don't like the fact that they're cutting this particular program, and that colors their view toward the whole Doge program. So most people, if you really, really corner them, think that there's a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. They think that there's too much spending, there's too much overhead, and we really need to be careful. There is a lot of misinformation. I haven't heard a single word that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, that the benefits are going to be cut, but there's a tremendous amount of additional expense that's built into those overheads. And they're going to address the overhead.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that they have to shorten up the benefits.
No, and that's part of the strategy of the other side to create fear. I get that. Let me ask you one more other technical question, Joel. Do you think with what's happening now and the president's using of tariffs as the great negotiating tool, and it seems to be working very well, China might be the last one to deal with, but he's already responded to that quite severely. But do you think in the long run, Joel, this will have any influence on the Federal Reserve?
It is. It is going to have an influence because unemployment's going to go up a little bit. The economy is going to soften up a little bit. And that means that the Fed is going to reduce interest rates. And when they reduce interest rates, I mean, they were expecting really to leave things alone for a long time, but now they're estimating that there's going to be 2, 3, maybe even 4 rate cuts this year to really kind of get the economy in line. So even though the Fed is theoretically independent from the government, they respond to these things. And as the interest rates come down, the refinancing of the debt can take place, which is going to save us additional hundreds of billions of dollars a year. So, there's been talk that the president engineered all this on purpose. I can't say that that really happened, but the impact is going to be that the markets have come down, unemployment's going up, things are softening up, interest rates come down, and then we refinance the debt, save money there. So, listen, this president has 20 different balls in the air, and there's so many things going on, the media can't report on all of them. Part of it is he's like a magician. He uses the art of misdirection. He gets everybody looking at the left when the action's happening on the right, and that's just what he does. So he's got, people are talking about tariff, and he's got the Doge thing is kind of fallen out of the media. So it's just part of what he does, and he does it very well. And I think the politicians are upset that things are happening, and I don't believe a word of all the negativity that I hear. I think that as much as we're in a world of hurt here, for a couple of weeks, it's going to be worth it over the next couple of months.
What do you think about the consumer confidence levels these days?
When they measure what consumers think, what they're really measuring is how effective the media has been in convincing people what they should think.
Good point.
I just don't think that people are, for the most part, some people do a wonderful job of educating themselves and watching different kinds of media and studying. But for the most part, most people just repeat the party line, whatever that is, and that's how they feel. So I think most of these polls are really irrelevant. And by the way, leaders don't follow polls. Leaders lead. Henry Ford said something very famous one time. He said, if I'd asked people what they wanted, they'd have said faster horses. And that's not what leaders do. Leaders don't ask people what they want, because the truth is that regular people don't know what's possible for them. And they just rely on the leader who knows more about the situation. Asking people what they think about military strategy is just ridiculous, because people don't know what the capability is. We don't know what the tools are, the weapons. We don't know what the position of tools and resources are. We don't know any of those things. So what difference does our opinion make?
Yeah.
I think most of us really probably agree that we'd like not to have war. We'd like to have prices be fair. We'd like to have things happen in a reasonable way. But there's a lot that we don't understand about the world, and we have to rely on our leaders, and we have to do things that hold them accountable and help them be honest. But aside from that, that's kind of where we're at.
One last question, Joel. Again, let me sort of our viewers and listeners, Joel has a website, joelblock.com, and you can go there. There's a picture of the landing page. I want to come back to the Feds just for a moment. The president's been pressuring the Feds to go ahead and lower interest rates now. Maybe you can tell me what the strategy is behind that, knowing that the interest rates, because of the unemployment rise, will be eventually go down. Why does he want it now instead of waiting for it?
You know, I don't totally know why he wants it now, but maybe there's some amount of debt that needs to be refinanced. Maybe they need more liquidity in the economy, and there could be a number of things that cause that. But listen, if interest rates start coming down, mortgage rates start coming down, all of these things benefit, the president's image and the president's success rate. So I just have to imagine that he just wants these things to happen. He's in quite a hurry for many of these things to happen. And, if they don't happen in 2 weeks, they're going to happen in 4 weeks. And that's just what sort of seems to be happening. There's a lot happening.
I don't hear the R word out there much, recession.
Yeah, they're throwing it around. I mean, they're we're getting into bear territory in this stock market. For this, it's been 7 days. I mean, maybe today's the 6th day since they announced those tariffs, and so the market's down for a week. Listen, it's taken a pretty big hit. But don't forget, Warren Buffett always said, when there's blood in the streets, that's when you buy. And this is a buying opportunity because we're down 20%. If you're somebody that has some liquid cash, and I'm not a broker and I'm not telling people what they should do, but certainly this is an opportunity for you to buy something that's a lot lower priced than it was just a week ago.
Do you sleep at night?
I sleep like a baby, Perry. I'm very bullish. I'm really bullish on what's going on. I think that we're really on the right track for the first time in a long time. It's been a long time since we've had a president that's really taken action. Think about how this president is different from 4 years ago. I'm not talking about the Biden years. I'm talking about the Trump 1 versus Trump 2. I mean, he's got a cabinet of people. I just imagine that these people sit around, they talk, they consider the options. They are really doing a good job. Are they the perfect politicians? They certainly aren't. But they're, I really think that they're doing a good job. And I'll tell you one last thing, and then we can go, is that Trump is a deal maker. And I get the misdirection. I get, the confusion and all the things that he doesn't want to telegraph what he thinks to the media. That works in the deal business. It doesn't perfectly work in government because the government is a much bigger kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So his personality, his style is not working perfectly in a government environment. And we just have to be careful about that.
Okay. Check out joelblock.com. That's his website, joelblock.com. There's a picture of the landing page. There's a lot of resources he makes available for you there, and you can download that as well, joelblock.com. Good to see you, brother. Hang in there. Talk to you soon.
Always good to see you, Perry.